So today we have a customer return, unfortunately, but fortunately enough, it's weird enough of an issue that I can make a video on it. So we open up this beautiful Raikou SP. You can turn it on. You can turn up the brightness so you can actually see it. And I have Pokemon Ruby loaded in here, and that's it. That is it. I'll do it one more time here. You see the Pokemon thing, and then it's a black screen. It doesn't continue on with like sounds or anything. It just goes to a black screen. I genuinely don't know what is wrong with this. I have an idea, but we need to tear this thing down and give it the old eyeball check because I have thoroughly cleaned this cart slot thinking, oh, it's just not reading all the pins properly. And that's why it's cutting off after a while. No, that's not the case. It is very clean now. But now that we've got this open, as you can tell, the metal has seen better days on some of these, and then other things, it looks brand new because they are brand new. I've swapped the volume slider, the link port, the charge port, and I believe both right and left. And what I believe the problem is because this was such a dingy board metal wise, I want to check the CPU and RAM. Plus, one thing that I always warn people when you replace your volume slider, careful of the RAM chip. And we have the bigger RAM chip on this board. So there's a chance I may have shorted one of the pins here. But we'll give this board a little check under the microscope. Actually, I'll just eyeball it real quick, see if I can see any shorts. I'm not seeing any shorts with my eyes, but it is looking a little iffy over here. It's also just looking a little iffy on the CPU in general. That is not the shiniest solder I've ever seen, and there is a little tiny bit of corrosion there. Nothing to worry about, but we'll get that taken care of. I'm interested in this over here because that white spot is a little concerning. I think it's just a little bit of leftover residue from my deep cleaning because I do deep clean almost every board I get in by throwing it in my ultrasonic cleaner with some simple green, and the simple green will leave a white residue if I don't clean it well enough after getting out because I do give it an alcohol bath after I do the ultrasonic cleaning. And sometimes you just got to get some more alcohol on a toothbrush and scrub around. Scrub around. I'm grateful that my audience is older than me on average. Yeah, no, it still looks good over there. So, what I'm actually going to do for this, I will get out the microscope just to look. And looking over at the microscope, there doesn't seem to be anything shorted on this side of the RAM chip, but I'll just continue to go up. Yeah, everything looks good there. It's just not super shiny. Going on the other side of the RAM chip, those a lot of these pins could be reflowed. All right, we'll check the CPU now. A lot of these CPU pins, again, look like they could be reflowed. Oh, yeah, there's some corrosion on 79 right there. Oof. How did I not spot this before? I mean, it doesn't look as bad when you're just looking at it with your eyeballs, but this looks not too bad. But it definitely looks a lot worse under the microscope. So, what I'm going to do, move this out of the way, I'm going to take the motherboard out and get it completely separated from the rest of the build. I'm going to cover everything that is not the CPU and the RAM with Kapton tape so we don't hurt it. And then I'm going to load this thing up with Flux and heat it up and hopefully reflow all of these till they're shiny. And I have some ideas after that, but we'll start with that and go from there. All right. I tried my best. It's a little hard with how compact the SP board is, but we should be able to take our hot air gun and turn it on. And this is to a lower temperature that I was trying to remove something plastic before. But I'm going to heat this up to like 400C because even though I usually use my iron for like 300C, you need it to be much, much warmer with hot air just because you lose so much heat as it releases from the gun. And I want to have it at a pretty low rate of flow for air because I don't want the chips, if there is anything that I didn't get covered or covered well enough, I don't want any of the other little components getting out of where they're supposed to be. I just want to reflow the solder. That is all. It doesn't look perfect. There's still some things, some dingy looking pins, but I believe the solder is as flowed as it can be without me removing the CPU and RAM and reinstalling it. And I think what I'm going to do is let this cool off, clean up all the flux, as much flux as I can, and then I'm going to put it back together and test it, see if we're still getting any issues. All right, this is cool to the touch now, so we can carefully remove all of this stuff. Make sure that I didn't remove any components with that. All the components look like they're still there. Okay, cool. Oh no. Good thing I did replace this because it is removable on the replacement ones. That's why I don't like messing with hot air, because even if you cover up every last thing, it will still melt something, like some of the link port too, but that's all right. I'm going to put a bunch of alcohol down. I am going to use my flux remover and dap that all over there. It's not really bubbling up, probably because it's like completely dried up and everything. So we'll just spray again. And if we get the microscope back out, we can look at all of these pins again. And golly, these pins look great on this side of the RAM. Over here, ooh, it does look like it's slightly off almost. But if it's still all soldered down, it isn't going to be a big deal. It looks like they're still lined up enough. So we'll let that go. This is a little wet still. So I'm going to blast this with some canned air. And these pins, there's still a little bit of like dirt in between the pins, but they all look fairly reflowed. Like there's a little bit of dirt on that pin up there. Everything looks a lot better. It's not perfect, I'm not gonna lie. Like, what's up with that pin? Is that pin good? I don't know. This is still not as great as I would like it to be, but I think it's just like stained. I don't know if it's actually an issue because a lot of the solder actually looks so much better. And looking down this line, it also looks pretty darn good. And this bottom area looked pretty darn good before we did all this. And it still looks pretty darn good. I do want to take my fiberglass pen and see if I can just clean these up a little bit. And I'd say after running the fiberglass pen over the top of these, they do look a little bit better. But I don't know. I think I just need to test this out and see if it works or not. All right. And beautiful. Who did I pick? Probably Mudkip. I don't know. Oh yeah, Chick-fil-A. Cool. Come on, Chick-fil-A. Scratch his eyes out. All right. I just went through everything that I could possibly do within like, I don't know, 10 minutes of Pokemon Ruby. Because apparently I am not very far in my save of Pokemon Ruby. But everything seems to be working fine now. Some of those pins look a little bit grody, but I don't really see it as an issue. It's been very deep cleaned. It's been reflowed. Everything's working. I don't think it's a problem. But since I have to go back in and replace this guy that got melted, I'm just going to go ahead and swap the board with one of my personal ones. I don't mind having a dingy board like this because I feel like it's not an issue. But just to save me and the customer from having any issues in the future, I don't really want to have to send this back and forth again. So I'll just swap it out for one of my good ones. Just going to make sure that it does load past that point. No reason why it wouldn't, because it's a completely different motherboard now. You just saw me swap it. So, and we got back to the save. So it did let me save on the last one. This is now good to go. I feel very confident that it is okay to send out to the customer. Once again, I'm not going to send them my Pokemon Ruby, but they should be able to play every Pokemon game, every Game Boy Advance and Game Boy Color and original Game Boy game on this, no problem. It was literally in my personal Game Boy Advance, one of mine, because I have a lot. I know I have a problem, but thank you for being so kind and understanding with all the stuff. These things happen. These are old devices. I miss things. It happens. So I'm going to send this back now. Thank you for watching. Leave a like if this helped you, and go buy a Game Boy from my website, or a shirt like this. This is a much smaller Pikachu design that's in the corner now, but you can buy this Ditto Pikachu on a shirt at retroremaster.com. I don't show my shirts enough. Pretty much every shirt I wear in my videos is something that I saw on my website. So just in case you're wondering in the future. All right, bye.